Hi, Jess. Welcome back.
Hello, happy to be back.
I am excited to dig deeper. We just went through your mindset, your word of the year, big goals that the guild is setting, and kind of how you can set up a roadmap, a game plan to achieve goals that you set for yourself. And so, in this part of the interview, as we dig deeper, I kind of want to dive into how you got to where you are now for 2024.
Yeah.
So, what, and I might ask this in a few different ways, but what is one of the biggest lessons from 2023 that has shaped your mindset for 2024?
This is like an extra spicy question for me because
Ooh.
2023 was that was like my cocoon year. Like when a butterfly is
Mhm,
kind of is being created and it kind of hurts and it's weird and it's isolating, like that was this last year.
mhm,
Um, with my word being peace, I and you know me. I'm like such a people person. Like I'm always around people. Like I I maybe have a codependency on other humans to like I just
mhm.
find energy in them. So
Yeah.
this year I purposely tried to be alone as much as possible.
Mhm,
And that was a little scary because for somebody who's always with somebody, like I've come from a huge Mexican family, like we were living like 20 deep in a house for a long time. Like I've always been around people, and for me to be by myself for almost an entire year was truly just an uncomfortable experience.
mhm,
And so I did a lot of things like learning to go to the movies by myself, like learning to pay bills or like just have, because I've always been with a partner. And so
mhm.
this year I learned to like just be alone and pay my bills on my own and raise kids on my own. And that was really interesting, and not like depending on like if I was struggling with my mental health, I would typically what I would do is start going out and being with friends and just being ignoring essentially like
Mhm.
things that I needed to work on. And I this year I kind of told myself I wasn't allowed to deflect by
Yeah.
going out and doing all those things. And so I journaled a lot. I read a lot. I was bored. Like things I had never really experienced, I had to experience this year. And it's been really beautiful. Like I really did find my peace in being just like okay with myself and who like I am,
Mhm.
and being able to feel my feelings and just like be present in them, whether they were good feelings or bad feelings, and not, ignoring them um by just adding more things on my schedule. So um that's been really nice for me to like process all of those things through this year, so then for next year I can go into things 100% authentically and
Mhm.
bring in the energy that I want from others, and knowing that whatever I bring is like truly me versus like a very masked version of myself that is ignoring things that I needed to address.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that is not easy by any means, and we talked about accountability last time, and so I feel like that would be something that's really hard to really hold yourself to because you could be like, "Well, this will make me feel better, so that's why I'm gonna go do it," or anything like that. How how do you think because so context here. I did an interview with somebody else and we talked about our identity. We talked about cultural identity too, but truly like who we are as like individuals and people.
Yeah.
And she talked about how she'd always like she had siblings, she had roommates, etc. So she always had these people around her and she's also extroverted like us. And so getting people's energy like gave her energy, but it wasn't until she like moved out on her own that she realized she didn't totally like know who she was without other people. So what was that like and what did you learn about yourself in that?
Yeah, I realized that I was being the person that people needed me to be
Mm,
versus just being myself. And so sometimes that would look like, um, in a relationship, I was just adapting to what that person wanted me to be, or at work, like kind of just being the person that needed to stay quiet and not speak my mind and things like that. And that truly, I don't know if that came from just being around people all of the time and kind of being like a forever, like a people pleaser. Um, so yeah, it was just like a weird experience to realize that I'm like, do I even have hobbies? Because my whole identity has been being a mom and my job and my all of these other things. And
mhm,
it's like who are my friends that are not just like work related friends that are like truly there for things that I normally like don't bring people into. So like, like normally I wouldn't talk to somebody about, if I was having issues at home or with my mental health, like I just wasn't sharing those things to people because I always kind of like wore a mask in being whoever people needed me to be versus saying like, hey, this is kind of who I am, and either you can accept it or not accept it or bring into it or not kind of come into